In this episode of Film Stock Reviews, I'm reviewing The Godfather Part 3. The Godfather Part 3 is a 1990 film which is a sequel to The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. It stars Al Pacino, Diane Keaton, Talia Shire, Sofia Coppola, and Andy Garcia. It's directed by Francis Ford Coppola. It's also written for the screen by Mario Puzo, Francis Ford Coppola, and this is the third and final installment in the Godfather trilogy. Now, it concludes the fictional story of the Corleone family, basically Michael Corleone, his fall. And he wants to so-called legitimize his criminal empire, all the while the fictionalized accounts of two life events that happened where the 1978 death of Pope John Paul I and the papal banking scandal of 1981 and 1982 both linked to Michael Corleone's business affairs in this film. Now, not only that, Andy Garcia plays Vincent Corleone, Sonny Corleone's son, where he had that affair in the first Godfather. Of course, you remember that scene where he, went behind his wife's back and, did his thing with that bridesmaid. This movie is really interesting. It's not the best in the series trilogy. Sofia Coppola plays Mary Corleone, Michael and Kay's daughter, and the whole aspect of how Vincent and Mary are this love interest. No. It just didn't work. It just didn't feel right at all. Al Pacino, however, gives a rousing performance as Michael once again. You thought he didn't have that, but since The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2, his career rose to immense heights with The Godfather Part 3. He made phenomenal films from The Godfather Part 2, and in between those years and that decade to now. The movie is 162 minutes long, the shortest in the so-called trilogy of the Godfather films. There are a lot of interesting aspects in this movie that some people didn't like and liked. You want to take something away from Michael, and that's what they did in this movie. The aspect of this movie is that you see the fall of Michael Corleone and the Corleone family. The only scene, maybe there are a lot of great scenes in this film that I like, and it's done really well with how Michael's trying to do things, but he's aging and just, he's getting old. He just can't do anything anymore. But his nephew Vincent is there. Andy Garcia as Vincent is really great. He's hot-headed like his father. He's calm, cool, and collected like his grandfather. But yet he has that, spark in him that he wants to take over the family business like Michael. You could have said that if they made a fourth Godfather movie, The Godfather Part 4, which was rumored for a really, really long time, it would have been about Vincent and how he used the struggle of the family and used it to his advantage, and just, it just fell right under him. The way Michael's character has come from The Godfather to The Godfather Part 3 is really, really good, because that's what it is. It's a story arc of Michael Corleone. Vito is the front and center in the first film, and then through the middle way of the first film up until now, the third film, it's all about Michael. What he can do to save his family, what he does, the lying, and how he wants to protect his family. And like I said, I didn't like that whole love interest aspect between Vincent and his cousin Mary. It just didn't work at all. If you put that dynamic out of it, throw it out the window, this is a good film. The scene that I loved and what really impacted, and you could see how hurt Michael was, is in the ending of this film. Mary gets shot where there was an assassination attempt on Michael and the family. Mary gets shot. Michael realizes this, and all of a sudden, there is nothing. No noise, no sound, no music. It's just silence. And you see Michael, Al Pacino, crying. Just crying and screaming and yelling. All of a sudden, the sound comes in slowly, and it just picks up, and he just lets out this big wail and scream. It's a powerful scene. It's an impactful scene. And you can tell that every person that was on set, even the cast, could see that Al Pacino gave his so much into it. And it was very, really interesting and really, really great. And in December of 2020, a recut version of the film titled The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone, was released to coincide with the 30th anniversary of the original film. So more scenes are put in. It's very different. It's more so a different take of how Coppola wanted the film. Coppola had a hard time making all 3 films, for that matter. And, you know, he got more free range to do the second one, more creative control, which it showed. And the studio just said, all right, here, make your 3rd movie. You'll do what you want. The first 2 were great. Here's a 3rd one. Didn't kind of pan out how it should have panned out. But, you know, hey, all in all, this was a different movie because we finally got that closing story of what Michael Corleone went through and what he did to sacrifice his family. For me, The Godfather Part 3 gets 4 out of 5 stars. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about The Godfather Part 3. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? Let me know what rating you would give The Godfather Part 3. Which of the movies in this trilogy is your favorite? The Godfather Part 2, or The Godfather Part 3? Do you think there should have been a 4th film, Godfather Part 4, with Vincent Corleone's character played by Andy Garcia, how he took over the business and we see his rise and fall? Or do you think 3 movies are enough? And how do you think Francis Ford Coppola did as a director? And do you think that this movie shouldn't get much praise as it should, or is it really underrated? Let me know in the comment section below about the questions I just asked, and I'll see you guys in the next review video. And thank you for tuning into my 3-part trilogy review of the most greatest film trilogy of all time, The Godfather.